Hey everybody, what's going on? We're gonna do a shiur on Purim today. Okay. It's funny that we actually brought up the shiur. The shiur was supposed to be tomorrow evening, but we made it today because of scheduling issues, and it actually falls on the Yirtzeit, the day of Moshe Rabbeinu, right? The day that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away from this world, right? So obviously it's probably because of his merit that everything got flipped around. It's not just a coincidence. We're going to talk what connection he has also to Purim, right? Because Moshe Rabbeinu has a connection to Purim. If you stay tuned to the end of the video, we might be able to reveal these secrets. Okay. We're also going to talk about the book of Esther. Okay, what significance it has. The book of Esther to Jews, to Judaism, to the whole world, the nations and everything like that. Also, we're going to talk about Purim. What is Purim? What are the secrets of it? Obviously, everything we learn based on secrets, because otherwise, you don't really get a full picture. So you want to get a full picture. And the last thing we're going to talk about is the Megillah, right? The actual scroll of Esther, the book of Esther, what's going on with it. Okay, so we said it was today was the day that Moshe Rabbeinu passed away, right? So in the story of Purim, the backstory is Haman, the evil Haman, who tried to kill the Jews. He tried to find a time when is the best to kill the Jews. Okay, he was a big astrologer. Okay, and based on astrology, the times change. Not every day is the same. Every day is different from another. Every month is different from another. Every season is different from another. So there's different energies falling in the world. So he saw that Moshe Rabbeinu died on this day. Because he saw Moshe Rabbeinu died on this day, he thought, oh, well, the leader dies, so I can knock off the rest of the nation. Okay? So he decided to try to kill the Jews in this month. Okay? But he didn't realize that Moshe Rabbeinu was also born on this day. Okay, he didn't know. He didn't see further back in history. Okay, so that's a problem with going to astrologers. The problem to going with anybody who reads cards or sees the future, tells you like that. It says Tamim tiyeh Hashem lokecha. You're not allowed to do these things because you're supposed to live in the present. You're not supposed to try to foresee things, because you'll never get a full picture of everything. You're only going to see a limited aspect of it. And then because you see a limited aspect of it, you're going to make the wrong decisions. You're going to come to the wrong conclusions, okay? So Haman, right, the evil person in our story, made the decision to try to kill the Jews in the month of Adar, okay? Now another small tidbit is anybody who's born on the same day, born on one day and he dies on that same day, he's considered a full tzaddik, a full righteous person. That's a siman, that's a symbol that this person was fully righteous. Okay, lived a complete life. Okay, so when we some people celebrate on their birthdays, they're happy, right? But like the real person, after a long life, obviously would want to pass away on their birthday. Okay. It says I sent out the last halacha of the Rambam in Ilchot Megillah to all you guys, and you saw that all the books of the Torah, there's 24 books in Tanakh. Okay, there's the five books of Moses, and 19 other books of Nach, Nevim, and Ketuvim, right? The prophets and the writings. So the prophets and the writings will all go away; they will be nullified, except for the book of Esther. Okay. So that means what's going to be left after the Messianic times, after Mashiach comes and the Jews are redeemed, is going to be the five books of Moses, okay, Chamisha Chumshet Torah, and it's going to be the book of Esther and the oral law, okay, Torah Shebe'al Peh. Everything else is going to be nullified. We're not going to need it, okay? We're going to look and see why is the book of Esther so important, okay? That it's going to keep staying even after, okay? We're going to still need it. So that means it was always needed, okay? It was always needed for all of humanity. We're going to see what connection it has to it, okay? Let's talk a little bit about Purim, okay? What's going on? Last week we read Parashat Shkalim. Okay, this week we're going to read Parashat Zachor. Okay, what's going on with this stuff? Okay, so it says that a Jew's power is within their mouth. Okay, the Jew, it says Tolat Yaakov. A Jew is likened to a worm. Just like a worm, their power is to make silk with their mouth. So too, a Jew, their power is to affect change in the world is with their mouth. Okay, so when we read something, as if we read the Torah, we have the power to draw down that energy. Okay, and the world gets the benefit from it. Okay, Shkalim was, in the time of the temple, every Jew from the age of 20 to 60 would have to give machatzit shekel. Okay, half a shekel. So Haman, what he did, he calculated 600,000 Jews. Okay, and from the age of 20 to 70, it's 50 years. Okay, he came out with amount of 10,000 kikar kesef, right? Like 10,000 kikar of silver. And that's what he gave to the king in order to kill the Jews. Okay? So, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, Rasha, like you evil person, I already accepted theirs before yours. Okay? Meaning like, God won't let him do his decree, what he wanted to kill the Jews, okay? Because of the money we already gave. It says, tzedakah tatzil mimavet. Okay? And you see that the tzedakah that the Jews did, you know, you don't see it right away, but it could be generations later where you get benefit from it.
Wow, really?
Okay? A lot of times, like parents do mitzvot and their kids benefit generations later. Like great grandkids, it could keep going. Elef do, the 1,000 generations going forward. Okay? So it's important to know what we're doing. Okay? So last week we read Parashat Shkalim. So Avraham said to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, he said to him, what's going to happen when the Jews don't have a Bet HaMikdash? When we had the Bet HaMikdash, all the sins, the next day we'd come and bring a korban, and the korban would wipe away all the sins that we did. Okay? Well, Avraham said, well, what's going to happen when they don't have Bet HaMikdash? How are they going to do it? So he says, our lips will pay like the cows. Meaning by using our lips, we'll have the same effect as the wiping out that the Beit HaMikdash did. Okay? So last week we did Parashat Shkalim. Okay? So we already gave our money. Okay? This week we're going to do Parashat Zachor. What's Parashat Zachor?
Amalek.
Right? Oh, we have to remember Amalek. With Amalek is a nation. Okay? And it's the son of Esav. He married a lady called Timnah, and they had a kid named Amalek. Okay? Amalek's sole mission is to destroy the Jewish people. Okay? Something is very, very crucial to understand something is in the world there's Kedusha and there's Tumah. There's holiness and impurity. Okay? The impurity gets its life from the Kedusha. Okay? Without the Kedusha, there is no impurity. So the impurity always wants to latch onto it, onto the Kedusha. Now what happens is that impurity doesn't know its boundaries. So sometimes it tries to wipe out the Kedusha. It wants to take out all its strength because it doesn't know how much it really needs. Okay, this is the story of Amalek. Amalek wants to take the Kedusha of Am Yisrael. Okay, so there's 3 mitzvot, 3 commandments that we have with Amalek, the nation of Amalek. One mitzvah is to remember what they did to us. When Am Yisrael left Eretz Yisrael, they were attacked by Amalek. All the nations of the world were afraid, okay? And they chose not to be afraid. They said, even if I don't kill them, at least I'll knock down their power, and then the other nations can come and get them. Okay? It's like someone who jumps into a hot tub of hot water. Okay? He may get burned, but the next people come after it, he already cooled it down for them. Okay? So that's what Amalek did. So we got to remember that. Okay? And the second mitzvah is to not forget that. Okay? The negative side of that. Okay? And the last mitzvah is to wipe out Amalek. Okay? To kill them wherever they are. Because they want to kill you. Right? Yes, yes. Amalek is the same numerical value as Safek. Safek means doubt. Okay, so any place you have doubt, it's Amalek doing it. Coincidentally, that's the same thing as dollar too. Okay? Yeah, dollar.
Wow.
Okay?
Dollar?
Yeah, the gematria is 240. Okay? So, yeah. Okay? Money is just a system that was created in order to exchange stuff. There's no real value to the money. Okay? Once upon a time, the dollar was backed by gold. Okay? So you exchanged a piece of paper and you got gold. Okay? But in, I think, 1972 or 74, we got taken off the gold standard and money has no value. It's just what we as people, as consumers, ascribe to it. We say the dollar is worth a gallon of milk, you get a gallon of milk. If you need $2 or $3 for it, okay, now you need $2 or $3 for it. It's just like where it basically puts doubt in people's mind. Okay, last week the stock market crashed, okay, because people were in doubt. Will my money be good? Will my money not be good? What's going to happen? Will I need to keep it in the bank? Can I keep it in the bank? It's all a bunch of doubt. Okay. So what's going on? So that's the two mitzvot, and the last mitzvah is to kill Amalek, to kill him, right? Because it says Abale el gecha ashkem el go. If you know somebody's coming to kill you, you have a mitzvah, you have a commandment to go kill them first, right? You can't sit idly by while somebody's trying to kill you. Okay, that's stupidity. Okay, so you have a mitzvah to do this, to wipe it out. So their whole mission is to destroy Am Yisrael. Okay, and that's what we're going to do this Shabbat. Okay, on Monday, right? Monday, the whole day, from Alot HaShachar, from dawn till starlight. Yes,
This Monday.
yes, from dawn to starlight.
Dawn is
From dawn to starlight is going to be what's called Ta'anit Esther, the fast of Esther. Okay? In the story of Esther, you have to fast. Unless you have you're pregnant or you're nursing or you have some critical condition, you have to fast. But now we're going to talk why you have to fast. Okay?
I think I'm pregnant.
What's the idea? Why did they fast? You know? Why did they always fast? What's the point of the fast?
Crying to Hashem.
לא, I know.
Yeah.
בגלל גזירה שהייתה על היהודים.
No. In general, why do we fast? What's the point of
To
fasting?
clean our sins, right?
To elevate us.
So what happens is when you fast, you deny food. Food is physical.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you deny the physical, what gets elevated is the spiritual. Okay, so
You don't do well with fast.
it's good that you don't do well because you're very physical. Okay, you got to disconnect from it. Okay, the more you disconnect, the less you feel the fast. Okay, so what happens? What happens is called mochin de katnut. You fall into, okay, if you guys remember our chart, the 10 sfirot, the 10 channels of light, the first 3 sfirot is ket chokhmah binah, is the person's mochin, it's what's in their mind, right? It's the power of their mind. It controls, right? And if you have a strong mind, you can control your hunger, okay? You can beat yourself, right? But if you let your mind go, then your body takes over your hunger. Okay, so what we want to do is have a strong mind, but the problem is the Ta'anit is designed to make you fall down. Mochin de katnut. Okay, we're going to see in the Megillah what is mochin de katnut. What's the purpose of this? Okay, it says the Jews in Galut, the Jews in exile, okay, are in mochin de katnut. Okay, they're in exile. They're not in their rightful place. They're not doing the rightful thing that they're supposed to do. Okay, so they fall down into this mochin de katnut. Okay, so now we're going to fast before Purim, before the actual holiday, in order to get ourselves down into galut mode, right? Into exile mode. Okay, we're not in a good mood before. Okay, but then right at night, as soon as the 3 stars come out, okay, there's a mitzvah to read the Megillah. Okay, what's going on when we read the Megillah? Okay, besides the story you're supposed to pay attention to, okay, you shouldn't miss any word. Okay, why you shouldn't miss any word? Because it's one continuous story. Okay, you can't take out any details from a story. If you want to know the whole thing, you got to see the whole picture. Okay, the other thing is that in Megillah there's keter chokhmah binah. Okay, keter is the highest form, it's like God, and then we have chokhmah. Chokhmah is like Abba, it's called Abba. What happens underneath that is the 7 sfirot. Okay? Chesed, Gvura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, and then Malachut.
Under Chokhmah?
Yeah, under Chokhmah and Binah, right?
יש 7.
There's 7 underneath, okay? So those 7, when we're in Galut, are said to be sleeping, okay? They're said to be Muchim de Katnut. They're sleeping, they're not awakened, okay? This is what it's called. It's called sleep, okay? When a person is asleep, they don't have their mind, right? Their mind is somewhere else, right? So it's the same thing. When we're in Galut, when we're in exile, we don't have our mind, we're like asleep, okay? Yeah. Now, if you remember, the 7 lower Sfirot are called Kucha Berichu Shchinte, right? Kadosh Baruch Hu and Shechina. Okay, and our whole purpose is to unite the two, okay, through our mitzvot, to doing the good deeds, right? To bring them together. But when they're sleeping, it's not good. They need to get their power from Chokhmah and Bina. Okay, when they get their power from Chokhmah and Bina, they can give it to us. They can give it to the rest of the world. Okay, so during the fast, they're sleeping. Okay, we want to wake them up. How do we wake them up? By reading the Megillah. Okay, the Megillah gives the mochin, right? It gives like brain power, mochin, the chokhmah and bina. It gives it to the nuk. The nuk is the malchut. It's the lowest level. It's the lowest level. Okay, the lowest level. She gets it, and then because she gets it, she can come together with the other sfirot. Okay, so that's what we're doing when we're reading the Megillah. It's called legalot. Amen. Okay, so that's what we're doing. We're revealing the chokhmah. Okay, Megillah in Hebrew means legalot, to reveal. Okay, we're revealing this power in order so that we get it. You have to read it at night. That's why we roll it completely out. That's why. You could read it v'galgal as well, but because we do it over and over every year, okay? But we roll it out first, okay? The roll it out is to show that it's being given out, okay? Now, you have to read it at night, and you have to read it again during the day, okay? 2 times. If you read one, you don't read the other, you didn't fulfill your obligation, okay? So what happens? You didn't let the light come from the higher channels to the lower channels. That's what you did. Okay, if you think like, oh, I missed it, it's okay, it's not a problem, God will forgive me, all this stuff. Yeah, you may be forgiven, but the light that you're not bringing down properly. You can read it yourself, sure, if you know how to read it yourself, and you have a kosher Megillah. Okay, that's written on the correct parchment. Yes, you can read it yourself. Okay, if you know it, you know how to read it, it's fine. Okay, but there's a thing called Berov Amadat Melech, right? In the multitude of like the nation, the king gets praised even more. Okay, and so it's good to be with the congregation. Okay, and also Pirsum Nesa, you're giving over the miracle, and people are listening, they're hearing the miracle. Okay, so it's a advertisement of the miracle when you do it in public.
Hashem is not mentioning that Megillah.
Right. So what we're going to say is that every time the Megillah says king Achashverosh, it's talking about the real king Achashverosh. Okay, a Melech Achashverosh is the real Melech Achashverosh. Anytime it says Hamelech, Melech, right, or king, it's talking about God. Okay, that's why you have to know the secrets of the Torah. You have to know the Talmud. You have to know the background story. Otherwise, you have no idea what's going on. Okay. Okay, so that's the first 2 mitzvot we have to do. After that, we have to do what's called matanot la'evyonim. Okay, who is a evyon? Who is a evyon? A evyon is someone who doesn't have, right? In the sfirot, right, in the channels of light, who's the one that doesn't have? Is the last one, right? Is malchut. Malchut is the last one. It's like the woman doesn't have the light. She has to get it from the man. Okay? A woman's a receiver, so same thing. The dal, the person who doesn't have the evyon, needs to get it. Okay? So what we're doing, we said we revealed the lights of the chokhmah, we revealed the lights of the wisdom coming down through the Megillah, but now we're going to take those lights and give it to the malchut. We're going to bring it all the way down. That's called matanot la'evyonim. We're going to take the matana, we're going to take this light and give it to these poor people. Okay, so that's what happens when you're giving tzedakah. You're supposed to take 2 evyonim, 2 poor people, okay, and give them each the value of a meal. So maybe $10, okay, whatever it is, to each one, okay. So you have 2 matanot to 2 evyonim,
Yes.
okay. So, and that's what you're doing. You're pulling down the light from Chokhmah, the channel of Chokhmah, the channel of wisdom, to the channel of Malchut, which is the kingship, right? It's the last one. That's the receiver. Okay? Now, the other thing is we have to do on Purim is Mishloch Manot, Ish L'Re'eo. Okay? Mishloch Manot consists of giving 2 pieces of food. Okay? Should be edible, ready to eat food. That's something they don't have to prepare, to 1 person. Okay? You just have to give it to 1 person. Okay? That's the minimum amount. If you want to give to more, that's great, but the minimum is to 1 person. 2 foods to 1 person. Okay? And what that's doing is that's making strength the yesod, the foundation sphira, the foundation channel. Okay? It's giving it power, both in the male and the female. Okay? Because the whole point is to bring the male and the female together. Okay? So the light is being concentrated in their yesod, in their foundations. Okay? That's their, how they mate, how they come together. So light is being concentrated there. And that's what you do when you give this Mishloch Manot. Okay? So it's a good, anybody who did sins in those areas, by doing Mishloch Manot, he can fix those sins. Okay? L'Re'eo, yeah. And then the last mitzvah of the day, probably the most important, is to eat. Okay, is to have.
We're gonna do another one?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay. The idea is to have a meal. Okay,
Yeah,
but
like a nice
the meal,
meal.
there's 2 components to the meal. Okay, there's
Yain.
bread and wine.
Yeah.
Okay, bread and wine.
The last
Yes,
time.
but
you
they're
got my
the
husband
two
so
they're the
drunk,
2 main they're the 2 main components. Okay.
I couldn't even wake up.
The 2 main components of the fat of the meal is going to be bread and wine. Okay, what's going on bread and wine? Again, you got to remember that the first sin, right, the tree of good and evil, was from bread and wine. Okay, people don't know this, but that's what it was. The fruit was a combination of wheat and grape, okay, and fig and all that stuff. So you're fixing that first sin. We're going to see how that everything relates in the end. But just getting taking care of what our obligations are on this day. You see, the obligations are not just obligations for no reason. It's not just, oh, you have to do this. You're actually having an effect on the world by doing this mitzvot. Okay? When you drink the wine, you're actually giving binah, you're giving wisdom to the malchut. Okay? You're giving wisdom to the world. You're giving understanding to the world, binah. Okay? When you eat the bread, you're giving chokhmah to the world, giving wisdom to the world. Okay? So the more, obviously, you drink, the more you eat, you're giving it to the world. Now, the difference with Purim and the other holidays or Shabbatot is that the light that you bring down on Purim stays for the whole year. It stays in the Malchut. It stays with the people the whole year.
Really?
Okay? Yeah. Whereas on Shabbat, it comes down and then it leaves. Okay? On Yom Tov, Yomim Tovim, the holidays, it comes down and then it leaves. Okay? But with Purim, through the Seudah, through the meal, it gets an impression and it stays. Okay? So that's why it's important to have a good meal, kosher people, talk words of Torah, because you're actually having an effect on the world. You're drawing down, again, the chokhmah, the wisdom, and the binah, which is the understanding to the world. Okay? You're actually helping the world by this meal. Okay? Now, there's a mitzvah in the meal to get very drunk.
Adoyada.
Okay, you gotta get so drunk that you don't know the difference between Baruch Mordechai and Arur Haman. The difference between blessed is Mordechai and cursed is Haman.
Yeah.
We have to remember, Mordechai is like Adam HaRishon. Okay, he's like the first man, and Haman is like the snake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, there's always a constant battle between them, all the time, until Haman is totally wiped out. There's always going to be a constant battle to him. Okay? So you might think, oh, I'll just bless Mordechai. That'll be enough. Okay? Nope. You have to also curse Haman. Okay? And it has to be overlapped. It has to be so much that you don't know the difference. Why? The Arizal explains that, remember we said the Kedusha tries to get its power, the Tumah, the impurities tries to get its power from the Kedusha. Okay? You have to give them a little bit. Okay? It's like my machronim. You have to give them a little bit, but not too much. By getting drunk, you lose your mind. Okay? People do a lot of stupid things when they're drunk. Okay? Their real personality comes out when they're drunk. Okay? But what happens is, okay, you give over, you give over a little bit. Okay? By losing your mind a little bit, so you give over because you're not in your rightful mind. So you give the evil powers, right? The powers of impurity a little bit. Okay, so that's the reason we also get drunk. The second reason. Okay, so now we finished Purim.
The evil, יצר הרע.
Okay, now we have to appreciate that Mashiach, right, the Savior, right, the Savior of all Israel, right, the Messiah, is the same gematria numerical value as Nachash. Nachash is snake. Okay, and we did a whole class on the snake and what they're trying to do. Okay, the idea is that one is contingent upon the other. Okay, so if we look at the Megillah, right, what happened in the story of Megillah? Okay, what happens? They try to kill us, we won, we eat. Right, that's the whole story. No, okay, so the background story is like this. 70 years 70 years before this whole story was happening, about roughly 70 years, the temple was destroyed in Jerusalem. Okay? Now, the Jews were exiled. They were thrown out by Babylonia. Okay? And that was promised that it would end after 70 years. Okay? And they saw that it didn't end. So they were happy, so they threw a party. Okay? That's it. The Jews, they're not going to go, they're going to stay in exile, and that's it. What happened was Persia conquered Babylonia. Okay, so Persia ruled over the world. So that's why the whole story of the Megillah is happening in Persia. Okay? So how does the story develop? So there's a big party. Okay, everybody's getting drunk, everybody's eating. It's a 180-day party. Okay, it's a 6-month party. Okay, yeah. It's craziness. Okay?
I can't imagine that.
Crazy party, okay? Now the crazy party is, what happens? During the party, the fight breaks out between the king and his counselors. Who has the prettiest wife?
Right.
Okay, and he says he does. Okay, so he commands her to come down and show her beauty to everybody. But it wasn't just her beauty; she had to come naked. Okay.
What?
Yes. Okay. She had to come naked. Okay. So she had to come naked, and she would have came. She wanted to come. Okay. But what happened? Okay. God caused her to get leprosy all over her body. Okay. And become disgusting, and also grow a tail. Okay.
Ken.
For real?
Yeah.
Very for real. Okay. And that's the real reason she didn't come. Okay. Now, what's the problem? Why did this happen?
This is Vashti?
Yes, Vashti. Yeah. This is the king's wife. Yes, and leprosy on her body. Okay.
הפימפל זה היה leprosy.
Yeah, it was disgusting all over her body. Right. That's why she didn't come.
I was wondering why.
Okay.
No, you know.
I was wondering why she said that to her husband. I don't think.
No, you
Thank you.
Okay. Now, why did this happen to her? Because she forced the Jewish girls. She forced the Jewish girls to come serve her naked, and on Shabbat. Okay. So exactly, the way God works is measure for measure. It doesn't matter. God runs the whole world measure for measure. Midah k'neged midah. Yeah, the Goyim call it karma. Right? You did one thing, you're going to get it back to another place. Okay? But midah k'neged midah, measure for measure. You did this, you're going to get it back. Okay? But you didn't get it back the next day, right? It took a while. Okay? She did this for a while, and that's why she got punished. Okay? So now she's like this, and she doesn't want to come down. right? She doesn't want to come down to the party
Wow.
to show herself, right?
Crazy.
That is
So-
crazy.
So God causes what happens? The counselor tells the king, kill her. Right? Kill her. She disobeyed the king. Someone disobeys the king, you gotta kill him. So he was drunk. He was like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, no one's gonna disrespect me. He kills her. Okay, again, we gotta appreciate that God runs world events.
Yeah.
Okay, we think one thing and then really something behind the scenes is happening totally different. Okay, so watching the news is stupid. Okay, someone once said if you don't watch the news, you're uninformed, but if you watch the news, you're misinformed. Okay, so
Fake
because
news?
fake news, we don't know the backstory, we don't know what's really going on. Okay, so what happens? Okay, so what happens? Vashti doesn't come down. She gets killed. She gets killed. Now we got a new queen. Okay, there's a search goes on, and Esther of the Jews becomes, chosen to be the next queen. Okay, so she gets chosen to be the next queen. Meanwhile, there's other backstories going on. If you ever watch any kind of show, you see they cut from one storyline to another, right? There's a bunch, like 5 storylines going on at the same time. That's the whole world. That's life in general. That's what's going on. So at the same time, Mordechai is, one of the king's counselors, right? He has an important position in the government. And what happens is he overhears 2 people who are upset. Why are they upset? Because King Achashverosh made Haman one of his counselors, a higher up. So they were upset. They thought they were supposed to, right? And they also thought that their daughter should have been taken instead of Esther. Okay, they didn't know what nation Esther was from. She was hiding everything. Okay, that's the story of Esther. Esther means to hide. Okay, and that's what we call Megillat Esther, the revelation of what's hidden. Okay. Revelation of what's hidden.
Seter.
Okay.
Esther, Seter.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
Okay, so Mordechai overhears these 2 people talking because they don't know that Mordechai speaks 70 languages. Okay, to be a member of the Sanhedrin, okay, the judges of the Jews, you have to know 70 languages. Okay, so Mordechai overhears that they're planning to kill the king. Okay, he tells Esther. Esther tells the king, these guys are executed, but Mordechai doesn't get repaid. Okay, it's just written in a book. Mordechai doesn't get repaid. Okay, sometimes when we do good things, this is what you have to learn. I do good things. Hey, how come I didn't get anything? Right? It could be a lot of time between the time you do something good until you get something good back. Okay, but you will get it back. Okay, that's the way the king works. What happens? Haman puts a piece, an image on himself, and he forces everybody to bow down to him. Okay? Another backstory. Haman sold himself to Mordechai. He's really his slave. Okay? This was a long time ago, many years ago. Mordechai's not going to bow down. Right? There's only one God in the world. And Haman is a slave. So Haman gets very mad because everybody in the kingdom is bowing down to him except for Mordechai. Right? The whole kingdom is bowing down to Haman except for Mordechai. Mordechai Yehudi. Why is he called Yehudi? Is Yechidi. He only bows down to God. Okay? He doesn't bow down to other, right? To other powers. Same thing. A Jew should always only believe in God. There are no other powers except God. Okay? Listen, Israel, God is one. Okay? Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Alright, God is one. So Mordechai doesn't bow down to this guy. This gets him upset. You gotta remember, Haman is the snake. Haman is the Yetzer Hara. Haman wants to get everybody. It's not enough with the majority. If everybody is not destroyed, he's not happy. Okay? He had the whole kingdom. Everybody's bowing down to Haman. They even said to Mordechai, why aren't you bowing down to him? Mordechai didn't move. He stayed with his... So Haman gets upset. He goes and listens to his wife. Okay? The Yetzer Hara also has a wife. Okay? And his wife says, kill him. It's very easy. Kill him. You kill him, and that's it. Now you have the whole kingdom to yourself. Okay, but how do you kill him? You make a big gallows, big tree, and you hang him on this tree. How big was the tree? 50 amot. 50 amos. It's very high in the sky.
building.
Okay. 10-story building, I don't know, very high building. Okay. Now, an amah is from your elbow to the top of your hand. So imagine 50 of these. Okay. But why 50? Why not 51? Why not 60? Why not 90? And why not 100? Right? 50 is a number. The number 50 is bina. Bina is understanding. Okay. In this world, there's only 50 levels of understanding. You can only understand the 50 levels. There's no more. Yeah, exactly. People are upset because they get close to the age of 50, right? Every year that you grow older in this world, the smarter you get. You become wiser, okay?
50.
You get more and more of your soul and more smarter. But what's going on is there's 50 levels of understanding. Okay? There's 50 levels of understanding. It's a dat tovera. There's a tree of good and evil, right? There's a tree of good and evil. It's a dat tovera and it's a chaim. Okay? So these two trees are one against the other. Like one is only good and the other one is good and evil. The levels on them are 50. Okay? So remember, the snake wanted Adam to eat from the tree. Eat the tree, you drop him down to 50. Okay? He didn't want him to have the wisdom. Okay? So he made him eat from the tree. Okay? Same thing. Now the snake, Haman, wants to hang Mordechai on the 50th level. Okay? So what happens that night? It says the Melech wasn't. That night the Melech was not sleeping. Why was he sleeping? Why was he sleeping?
Because God made him wake up.
No.
כי הוא ידע
כי לא ינו ולא ישן שומר ישראל, right? It says the king. It doesn't say King Achashverosh. Okay? We have to be careful when we're reading. We have to be careful when we're reading. Yeah, exactly. When you're reading the Megillah, you have to remember where it says king, where it says a melech, is God. Okay? Okay? Yes. So every time you say a melech, it's God. So God, lo yanu velo yishan shomer Israel. The Savior of Israel doesn't sleep or he doesn't slumber. Okay, he's always watching. But this time, now it comes time for schuyot. Now it comes for time for repayment. Hey, you did something good over there. Okay, you saved the king. Let's see what happened. Why can't I sleep? All right, so the real king Achashverosh looks through his books. Hey, this guy I didn't repay this guy. Now what was happening? He flipped and he saw Mordechai, his name. So he tried to cover it. Yeah, but God made it so every time he tried to cover that page, the wind came and blew it and opened it up to where it says Mordechai. Okay? He saw that Mordechai was the savior and he didn't get paid. Okay? So now he wants to pay him. At that same time, God's causing Haman to come in and say, hey, what's going on? So the king's getting suspicious. Why is Haman coming in the middle of the night? Yeah. So he starts asking him questions. Hey, what should I do to someone I really like and I want to repay and all this stuff? Yeah. So Haman, remember, he's the snake, right? He thinks he's talking about himself. He's the snake, and all Purim is nafochu, is to show the flip side. Okay, so what's the flip side? He tried to kill Mordechai. He tried to throw him down, disgrace him, and show him all the bad. What did God do? He flipped it upside down, right? There's a thing people say, you know, man plans and God laughs, right? It's a cute thing, right? So he tells Haman, what should I do? Haman gives him all these things. Take this person, dress him up in good clothes, move him around the town, show him how great he is, okay? So he said, very good, you do it to Mordechai. You do it to Mordechai, what's going on here, right? So now he's double disgraced. Okay.
What triggered the king to understand that he needs to read the book?
Yeah, what?
What do you think?
Okay, I know that.
But how?
Exactly.
I tell you what, he didn't see the whole night. He was bored.
So this is what you got to understand, right? This is what you understand.
Like, let me take the book.
Okay, it's very important you understand this. The accounting doesn't happen once a year before tax season. It happens all the time, every single second. When God's going to give, and when He's going to take away, when He's going to do what, accounting is not in front of our eyes. Okay, so it just happens, right? It happened that this happened to be the night, so this happened to be the night. Okay, now, so what happens after that? Mordechai dresses up good, he gets on the horse, he gets pranced around town. People don't know what's going on. So his daughter sees this guy who's dressed like a Jew, right? Because he doesn't have good clothing on. He's a servant's clothing. He sees a guy taking a guy on a horse who's dressed in royal garments, right? Looks like a king. So she thinks that Mordechai is the guy who's taking her father for a ride. Okay, so she takes like her toilet bowl and she throws it out the window onto her father. Okay, she throws it onto her father, right? Because she thinks it's Mordechai, right? So she throws it onto him. You know, her father reveals himself that it's him. He looks up, she sees it's him. She's so embarrassed, she jumps out and kills herself. She dies.
Really?
Wow.
I didn't know that.
Okay? Okay, so that's what happens. Now, Mordechai tells Esther, hey, listen. Hey, Mordechai tells Esther, hey, listen, they're trying to kill us. All right? There's another backstory. We jumped ahead. Okay? The backstory is Haman gave money to Achashverosh to try to kill the Jews. He said, there's a nation, you should knock them off. They're just doing problems for you. Okay? She said, yeah, no problem. Go ahead, do it. So they sent out letters throughout the kingdom. Go kill the Jews. On this date. What date was it? It was the 13th of Adar. Okay? What's that?
Jews were all gathered in Paris. And it was
No. It was all over the world. Okay? It was a decree all over the world. Kill the Jews.
all over the world.
All over the world. One day. Okay? The 13th. In Shushan, it was going to be the... Okay? Yes, it was worse than Hitler. It was one day. One day decree, boom, kill everybody. Okay? So what's going on? Okay, so now there's letters going out to kill the Jews. Mordechai starts ripping his clothes and wearing sackcloth. You know what's going on? He's mourning. You know, maybe God will change his decree, right? Because nothing happens in this world if it's not decreed up from up on high, right? From on God. So he starts fasting and doing this. Esther says, what are you doing? You're one of the king's servants. You can't dress like this. You have to dress nicely. He says, no. And he tells her what happened. So he tells her, you have to go into the king. You have to beg, you got to tell him now, you got to tell him who you are, from what nation you are. You're from the Jews and you got to save us. She says, no, I don't want to do it. He says, listen, if you don't do it, somebody else will save the Jews. Okay? You think you're the one who got, you got to this place for no reason? It's not true. Okay? But even if you don't worry, the Jews' salvation will come from another place. Okay? So don't you worry. Some people worry, they're like, oh, if we don't do this, and if we don't do that, and if we don't do... That's the falsity of the world, right? God is going to save the Jews no matter what. Okay? So she decides to go into the king. Okay? So she tells the king, you know... before she tells him who he is, I want to have a party with you and Haman. Now the king's like, why her and Haman? What's going on here? Okay? Now, before she does... Mordechai, her, and the rest of the Jewish people, they fast 3 days. 72 hours straight. No food and no drink. Okay? In order to stop any bad things coming down to the world. Any bad things from God. Right? Because we said the physicality makes you do bad things.
Yeah.
If you wipe away the physicality, you're only going to want to do good things. Okay? So they fast for 3 days straight. Then she goes into the king. And she says, I want to have a party with you and Haman. Okay, so they have a party with her and Haman. I'm cutting it down very quickly, you know. They have a party with her and Haman. He says to her, what do you want? She says, I want you and Haman tomorrow again. A private party, just me, you and Haman. The king's getting suspicious. What's going on? Why does he want? She wants me and Haman. Right? He tells her, I'll give you whatever you want. Just tell me what you want. So the next day, she reveals it to him. She reveals to him that Haman is the guy who tried to kill her nation, and he's plotting all this time, and so the king's upset. Right? The king gets upset. King gets upset. He goes outside. Haman tries to beg for his release from Esther. Angel comes and pushes Haman on top of her. Okay, so the king comes in. He says, "What are you trying to take the queen right in front of my eyes? You have no respect for me. What's going on?" Takes Haman and kills him. Right? right? Another angel comes and looks like one of the king's advisors, and he says to him, "Yeah, you should kill him. You know where you should kill him? You should kill him on that 50-foot pole over there." Okay, so Haman gets killed on the 50-foot pole. Okay, the pole. Nafochu. We're gonna flip it around, right? Midah k'neged midah, measure for measure. Just like Haman tried to kill Mordechai, now you're gonna get killed. Okay, where? On the 50. Okay, the 50 levels. What we don't also know is that Esther was also asked, what else should they do? So she had, they killed the 10 sons of Haman. Haman had 10 sons. Okay? She wanted them to also be hung. Okay? 10 sons, and she also wanted to be hung. Anyway, so they send out letters that the Jews can fight back. Okay, before the Jews weren't allowed to fight, they're supposed to get killed. Now they can fight back. The Jews fought back on the 13th, they won. So on the 14th they had a party, they drink and all that stuff. In Shushan, on the 13th and the 14th they fought, and on the 15th they had the party. Okay, so any towns that have a wall around them have to do Purim on the 15th. It's called Shushan Purim.
10 sons were when Hitler was killed.
Exactly.
I heard that.
9 more with him and then the same day.
Exactly.
Altogether
Yes.
10.
Yes. They were all killed the same day. Yeah. The story she's talking about is, why has Esther asked that these 10 people be hung after they were already dead?
Right.
Okay. Why after they were already dead? Now, when they were doing the Nuremberg trials, okay, there were 10 people that were supposed to get killed that day.
Yeah.
But it wasn't 10, it was 11.
Right.
The guy that was supposed to be killed with all 11, okay? The guy was supposed to kill with all 11, he committed suicide.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
And when he committed suicide, he screamed out Purim Fest. Okay? Nobody knows why. He didn't know Hebrew, didn't know nothing. He just screamed out Purim Fest. And then he went to his death. He died to his death. He committed suicide. Okay? And they wound up hanging these 10 people. Now, if you know anything about them, why would they hang them? Like,
Exactly.
it was electric chair time. It was they could shoot them. They could do anything.
Right.
Okay, so you see that it could be that it was most likely that they were the reincarnation of the other. They were the reincarnation of these guys, of these 10 sons. Yes.
In Nuremberg, I went there. I've been in Nuremberg.
You were
Germany.
Why? Unbelievable.
It's a very damp percentage.
Okay. So now why do we have 10 sons? Okay. We said everything that has in the Kedusha, everything that has in holiness, 10 powers, right? 10 channels, same thing in the Tuma. Okay, same thing in the impurity. Okay, so just like you have in the holiness, you also have in the impurity. So you have to wipe out the impurity. Okay, so that's why the 10 had to be wiped out. If you notice, when the guy reads the Megillah, okay, he says all of them in one breath.
Yeah.
Right? He doesn't stop to take a breath in between. He says everything in one shot, right? Because this is having an effect. It's like killing these 10 people in one shot again. They weren't hung one. It was all 10 at one shot. Okay? So it's having the same effect. When he's reading them, he's killing them all in one shot. Yes. All over again. Okay? One last thing. We said that the Megillah will never go away.
Yes.
Right.
Right? Why would the Megillah never go away?
Was it ever happen again with the killing the Jews?
Yeah. So this is the story of the whole world. The story of the whole world, right, is Adam and the snake. Right? Adam is like the Jewish people, and the snake is the evil nations of the world. Okay? And their whole mission is to try to kill Adam. Okay? What's God doing? If you remember, we said that God created the world for 3 things: to give man reward for doing good, for us to recognize his name, and to reveal his unity. His unity meaning he's the only power in the world. There is no other power in the world. Okay? Enol Milvado, exactly. But before he reveals that he's the only power in the world, he has to make it look like there's another power. Okay? He has to make it look like that. That's the story of history. It's going to look like there's an evil power in the world, not good, and then he's going to come and wipe it out. This is the war of Gog and Magog. Okay? This is what people are saying, like the Third World War. It might be the fourth or fifth, who knows? But it's going to be where all the nations of the world are going to come against Israel. People are talking politics. These guys are our friends. These guys are not our friends. All that stuff. It's going to be a time when all the nations of the world, it's in Ezekiel, right? It's a prophecy, right? Chesed, okay? Perek Lamed Chet, Lamed Tet, the 38th chapter and the 39th chapter. It doesn't matter when I think it's going to happen. Whenever it happens, you'll see all the nations of the world are coming against Israel. Okay? And we're going to have, at one shot, okay, at one time. And they're going to come to kill them in one time. And then God's going to reveal himself and kill them all in one shot. Israel's not going to have to fight. They're not going to have to do anything. God's going to reveal himself on that day. Okay, so all the nations of the world will know.
They know it.
Everybody in the world will know that there was only one power acting at all time. They're going to be powerless. Okay, and that's the whole story of all of history. The whole story of all history is to show the world maybe there's no God. Okay. And he's going to have one nation that under God, right? One nation, indivisible, with liberty, justice, for all, right? One nation, that's the Jewish people, is going to never leave God. They're going to have a covenant with him. It's called Brit. They're going to have a connection with him. And they're the ones who are going to bring him down into the world. And he's going to show that there was nobody else acting in all of history. He's the only power. And that's the power of unity. So that's the story of the Purim. And that's why Purim will never leave the Jews. Even after all happens, Mashiach and everything like that. Okay?
Purim, Kippurim.
Have a good night, guys.